Named for its rocky shores, Marblehead, Massachusetts was a small but busy fishing town in the 1700s. Many of us men at Marblehead, both young and old, spent most of our time at sea, while others packed and processed the catch that we brought home. Marblehead was somewhat unique at that time, in that Native Americans, British and European colonists, and free black populations lived and worked alongside one another. So when the sparks of revolution ignited in 1776, of course, we fought together for freedom and for a new nation, the United States of America. This is the story of the Marblehead Regiment in the American Revolution. Tensions between Britain and the colonies had been steadily rising as unfair taxes were levied against us and our sons were often taken against their will and forced to serve in the British Navy. Many parts of the colony were sharply divided between patriots, who wanted to be an independent nation, and loyalists, who supported the British Crown. But Marblehead consisted almost entirely of patriots, and when war was on the horizon, many expert sailors volunteered their services and their ships to the cause of liberty. A wealthy merchant named John Glover, along with his son John Jr., formed a militia which included men of all backgrounds, including sailors like Manuel Soto and John Rhodes Russell, freed slaves like Caesar Glover, abolitionists like Joshua Orne, and ordinary heroes from all walks of life. Before the Declaration of Independence was signed or the first shots of the war were fired, the Marblehead Regiment was called upon to face down British troops advancing on Salem. When they saw us waiting on the other side of the river for them, they reconsidered. Because of our years of experience as sailors and fishermen, we could traverse rivers quickly by boat, and we soon saw action at sea in our largest sailing schooners. General Washington called on us to help take control of Boston by impeding British ships while his troops surrounded the city by land, forcing them to retreat. Shortly after the siege of Boston, Washington sent 2 ships of the Marblehead Regiment to intercept British ships loaded with armaments on their way to Quebec. When we found out the ships had already come and gone, we decided to raid St. John's Island instead, where Loyalist recruitment was underway. We took their governor captive in order to exchange him for Patriot prisoners and seize whatever armaments we could find and spike the cannons at the fort. When the Declaration of Independence was finally made and the revolution began in earnest, our sailing skills became more important than ever. The British marched on New York City, and the Continental Army lost many men. But with our help, Washington and others who reached our boats were able to escape by water. The Continental Army was a small force, fighting against one of the greatest military powers at the time. There were many retreats in the early months of the war, so much so that Washington was afraid the Continental Army would lose heart and give up. We needed a victory. So he devised a plan to attack a company of Hessians, hired German soldiers, the day after Christmas when they would least expect it. To launch this surprise attack, Washington needed to transport thousands of men across the icy Delaware River in the dead of night, and the Marblehead Regiment were just the men for the job. We ferried men from Valley Forge to the Delaware shore until 3 o'clock in the morning, and then marched through the freezing snow for another 5 hours to launch our dawn attack at Trenton. But it was worth it. The Hessians were surprised, outnumbered, and surrendered quickly. That victory gave us the hope and the courage to fight on and win our independence in the years that followed. Liberty came at a price, though. Over 1/3 of the women of Marblehead were widows by the end of the war, and over 600 children were left fatherless. But thankfully, that same year, slavery was abolished in the new state of Massachusetts, though it would take more decades and bloodshed to bring that liberty to all of the United States.